Hello, my beautiful people. Welcome back to the most complete spoken English course on YouTube, where you learn English without boring grammar, without textbooks, and without stress. Here, you learn by listening to real-life stories and answering simple questions that will boost your fluency. Today's story is called, I Got Suspended for Helping a Student. Let's begin. Mr. Carson had been a high school history teacher for nearly 7 years. He wasn't the kind of teacher who just gave lectures. He was known for bringing history to life, dressing up as historical figures, acting out events, even organizing student debates as if they were real trials. Students loved his class. They said he made boring facts exciting. But Mr. Carson was about to learn a painful lesson. Not everyone values good intentions. It all started with Jordan. Jordan was a quiet student in Mr. Carson's third period class. He rarely spoke, often sat alone, and never turned in homework on time. Most teachers had already given up on him, saying he was lazy, uninterested, or distracted. But Mr. Carson saw something different. When he read Jordan's first essay, although it was handed in late, it was brilliant, thoughtful, well-written, full of emotion. Mr. Carson asked him to stay after class. He said, "Jordan, this is excellent work. Why don't you participate more in class?" Jordan hesitated, looked down, and said quietly, "Things at home are kind of crazy. I do my work. I just can't always finish it on time." Mr. Carson didn't push. Instead, he offered something simple. "Listen, if you ever need an extra day for assignments, just let me know. I believe in you." From that day, Jordan began to open up. He started coming to class early. Sometimes he'd help clean the board or organize handouts. Still quiet, but different. Then came the problem. One afternoon, during a staff meeting, the assistant principal mentioned that some teachers were giving unapproved accommodations to students, like changing deadlines without authorization. Mr. Carson felt uneasy but didn't speak. A week later, Jordan submitted a project 2 days late. Mr. Carson accepted it, as agreed, and gave him full credit. It was an excellent project about World War II, with original drawings and citations, but someone noticed. Another student's parent had seen Jordan's grade on the online portal and asked why he received full credit for late work when her child didn't. The complaint reached administration. Mr. Carson was called into the principal's office. "What's this about giving extensions without documentation?" the principal asked. Mr. Carson explained. He told them about Jordan's background, the conversations, the quiet improvement. The principal frowned. "You know the rules. Every accommodation needs written approval. You can't make these decisions on your own." Mr. Carson said, "But it helped him. He's trying. If I'd pushed him too hard, he would have shut down." The principal didn't budge. 2 days later, Mr. Carson received an email. It read, "You are being placed on administrative leave for failure to follow academic policy." He was suspended, not fired, but removed from teaching temporarily. When the students found out, they were shocked. Many signed a petition. Some even organized a silent protest, sitting outside the classroom with signs that read, "Let Mr. Carson teach." But the decision stood. Mr. Carson stayed home for a week. He felt heartbroken, misunderstood, and angry. He had tried to help, and was punished for it. One evening, there was a knock at his door. It was Jordan, standing there with a small envelope. "I didn't know where else to go," he said. "I just wanted to thank you. No one's ever believed in me before." Inside the envelope was a drawing. A portrait of Mr. Carson dressed as Abraham Lincoln, standing in front of the classroom. At the bottom, it read, "The teacher who made me care again." Mr. Carson didn't cry, but his eyes stayed wet for a long time. The next day, he wrote an email to the school board. He didn't beg for his job. He didn't argue about the policy. He simply said, "Sometimes, following the rules means losing a student. Sometimes, breaking them means saving one." He returned to teaching 2 weeks later, after an official warning and a mandatory training. But he never stopped believing in students like Jordan, even if it meant taking a risk. Now it's time for your quiz. Let's test how much you understood from the story. Remember, answer out loud, and you have 5 seconds to respond after each question. Ready? Let's go. What subject did Mr. Carson teach? Mr. Carson taught high school history, and he was known for making the subject fun and engaging by acting out historical events and encouraging creative projects. What made Jordan stand out to Mr. Carson? Although Jordan was quiet and often late with assignments, Mr. Carson saw real intelligence and emotion in his writing, especially in an essay that showed deep understanding and effort. What agreement did Mr. Carson make with Jordan? Mr. Carson offered Jordan extra time to complete assignments if needed, believing that personal struggles at home were affecting his academic performance. Why did the administration get involved? Another parent noticed Jordan's high grade on a late assignment and complained, leading the administration to investigate Mr. Carson for breaking academic policy. What was the consequence of Mr. Carson's decision to help Jordan? Mr. Carson was suspended and placed on administrative leave for not following the school's official policy on accommodations, even though his actions helped a struggling student. How did the students react to Mr. Carson's suspension? The students were upset, and many showed support by signing a petition and staging a peaceful protest, asking for him to return to the classroom. What did Jordan do after Mr. Carson was suspended? Jordan visited Mr. Carson at home and gave him a hand-drawn portrait with a note thanking him for believing in him, showing his deep appreciation. What message did the drawing contain? The drawing showed Mr. Carson as Abraham Lincoln teaching class, and it had a heartfelt message that said, "The teacher who made me care again." What did Mr. Carson write in his email to the school board? He expressed that while rules are important, sometimes helping a student means bending them, and he emphasized that saving a student matters more than following a policy. Did Mr. Carson return to teaching? Yes, he returned after 2 weeks with a warning and mandatory training, but he continued to support and believe in students like Jordan, even if it came with risk. Great job! Even if you didn't get all the answers, remember, the goal is to practice speaking and listening. Now let's go over some vocabulary from today's story. Let's take a closer look at some key words and expressions from the story. Administrative leave. When someone is temporarily removed from their job while a situation is reviewed. For example, the teacher was placed on administrative leave during the investigation. Accommodation. A change or help given to someone with special needs. For example, the school gave extra time as an accommodation for the student. Unapproved. Not officially allowed or agreed upon. For example, he made an unapproved change to the schedule. Misunderstood. Not correctly seen or appreciated. For example, she felt misunderstood when no one believed her side of the story. Mandatory. Something that is required and not optional. For example, the training was mandatory for all teachers. Policy. a rule or guideline set by an organization. For example, the school has a strict late homework policy. Portrait, a drawing or painting of a person. For example, he drew a portrait of his favorite teacher. Quiet improvement, when someone gets better slowly and without drawing attention. For example, she showed quiet improvement throughout the semester. Warning, a notice given before a punishment. For example, he received a warning for breaking the rule but was allowed to return. Believe in someone, to trust their potential and support them. For example, she believed in her student even when others gave up. Thank you so much for watching this video until the end. You are doing something amazing by learning English with stories. If you enjoyed this lesson, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this video with your friends so more people can enjoy these stories and learn English the easy way. This is Docentes DigitalesTV, where you learn to speak English fast, easy, and with confidence. See you in the next video.